Thank you to the patrons for supporting the channel.
Hey YouTube, what's up? Mr. Geeky here, and today we're going to be talking about Bo Burnham's new comedy special, Inside. It's going to be tons of fun, so let's get started. So, when I started making this video, I thought I was going to be real cute, doing the video about Inside in the same style as Inside. But as more videos about it have come out, that seems to be the thing that everybody is doing. So it's not that original anymore. So if I'm going to do this, I got to go big or go home.
If you'd have told me a year ago I'd be living out on my own, I would have told you a year ago that's bullshit, now leave me alone. Sorry if this vid is a mess, I tried to make it as concise as possible. This special made me depressed, so today I'll try to forget by just getting up, sitting down, writing down words. Maybe I can help you understand it. Getting up, talking about Bo Burnham. Sorry if this is different, but at least I made some content. I made it living on my own for the first time. I made some content. Now let's talk about Inside. So, before we start, I feel like I should probably preface this slightly. Normally on this channel I cover things like games, horror, and things like that, but every once in a while something comes along that is so inspiring or interesting to me that I feel like I need to talk about it. And for me, most recently, that has been Bo Burnham's new comedy special, Inside. Basically, here's how I'm going to break this down. I'm going to give you some context as to who Bo Burnham is and his history and why that's important to know before you watch this. Then I'm going to break down the points, the main jokes, and the things that I find interesting about the special itself. And then I want to talk about the themes and the main message of the special, at least that I have been able to come up with. Now, obviously, for a special of this nature, there isn't really one specific point. It's meant to be interpreted, but this is my interpretation of it. So yeah, I guess the best way to watch this would be to watch Inside yourself first, watch this video, and then watch Inside again, and hopefully you'll have a new perspective on it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Mr. Burnham.
Bo Burnham's career started in 2006, when he was only 16 years old, uploading witty, funny, edgy songs onto YouTube. In this sort of early stage of YouTube's development, he quickly garnered attention and eventually signed a deal for an album with Comedy Central, and then a tour, and then his very own comedy special. Words, Words, Words was Bo Burnham's first comedy special of now 4. At the time, he was the youngest person to have ever signed a comedy special with Comedy Central. And it's here that we can start to see some of his career staples. His mix of classic wit and comedy songs, but also some more serious themes and reflections, and at least one song that isn't really a joke and is more of a sad, sort of self-aware moment in the special. For Words, 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 that was the song Art is Dead, a reflection on the entertainment industry, his role in the entertainment industry, and being rich off of attention. These themes would continue to expand into his next comedy special, What? Chock full of social and religious commentary, philosophy, and a heaping helping of self-reflection and self-deprecation. At this point, you might be thinking, this guy sounds kind of pretentious, and you might be right, but he ends up being able to move through these dark and serious themes in a way that's hilarious, technically impressive, and at some points really poignant and emotional. The more serious part of this special comes with We Think We Know You, a song that is sort of a reflection on how people perceive him now that he has any sort of recognition or fame. They think they know best, they want to take advantage of him, they think he's changed or that he's a pretentious prick. It culminates with an amazing song and a great point about what it's like to live with an audience. That is actually a really important theme that Bo Burnham talks about a lot and expands on a lot more, so keep that in mind. After what, Bo Burnham released what many people thought was going to be his last comedy special, Make Happy. Again, chock full of great commentary on the entertainment industry, the music industry, relationships, philosophy, and the strange melding of living with an audience, being a creator, and also part of the audience at the same time, with social media and YouTube being more accessible than ever. The messages I'm talking about throughout this whole thing increased tenfold on Inside, so it's why I'm bringing up this context. It really is a build-up to what would become the culmination that is Inside. Finally, the show ended on a big parody of a Kanye West auto-tune rant. Now, it was funny, but it slowly turns more serious as he talks about the struggles of what it's like living with the audience, wanting to make content that he enjoys, but also please the fans and the people that watch and the people that pay money to go see him live. And then Bo Burnham back in a room with a MIDI piano, just like it all started. He plays the final song, Are You Happy? And then walks out into the sunlight. The end. Well, it wasn't quite the end. After Make Happy, Bo Burnham made it clear that he was taking a break from stand-up comedy indefinitely. He was having anxiety, depression, and panic attacks on stage. In that break from stand-up, he made a drama called 8th Grade, written and directed by him. It explored a lot of different themes that he talked about in his specials, but this time from a different point of view. Instead of from somebody who's famous, it's from somebody who never gets famous, an 8th grader who just has her own YouTube channel. It's extremely well made, but also of particular interest to me because that's around the same time I started my own YouTube content. But we start to see more of Bo Burnham's interest in the themes of audience and creator combined, and how the internet and social media change the way that we interact with each other and the way we interact with the internet as a whole. After 8th Grade, Bo Burnham almost completely disappeared except for a few cameos. 8th Grade was released in 2018. In 2021, April, Bo Burnham teased his next comedy special for Netflix, Inside.
I'm just a white guy talking about another white guy's video about white guy problems. So take everything I say with a grain of salt.
And yes, I also understand that the problems discussed in the special are actually a lot more universal than just white guy problems, but I'm just trying to get across the fact that I understand that basically the people that I'm helping is essentially nil, and oh my god, why did Bo Burnham make me so self-aware? So originally this part was going to be me breaking down each individual song and joke from the special. Unfortunately, Netflix didn't like me using that much footage in one video, so they blocked it in all countries. So instead, I'll try to make my points as concise as possible here over this creepy, distorted footage. So let's go. The real kickoff of this special is the song Comedy. Now there are a lot of layers of satire to this song, but the main takeaway, I think, is the idea that he wants to help heal the world with comedy. The idea that that's the reason he's doing this special, however ironic and self-aware the song is important to remember for later. The first part of the special after this has songs like FaceTiming with Mom, White Woman's Instagram, How the World Works, Sexting, and bits like the reaction bit where Bo reacts to himself reacting to himself reacting. All of these have themes that will come back later, but are relatively innocuous and harmless. The special in the latter half gets extremely existential and nihilistic, so it's interesting how straightforward this part is. Themes of connection through the internet, the struggles of intimacy online, putting a false version of yourself online, and the self-judgment and reflection that comes with editing your own videos. Self-reflection, and the internet. Remember these themes, because while they're pretty straightforward and observational at this point, it won't stay that way. A quick aside from the main part. The How the World Works song is the one everyone on Twitter loves, but I think people are missing the really interesting point that's being made with this song, because they're too distracted going, "Based, Bo Burnham, that is so based, bro. He said means of production, I know that." The really interesting point that's being made here is how platforms, Bo in this case, control the means of communication by which activists and bringers of change communicate their message, Socko in this case, and the simplified nature these platforms have, represented by this all being done in a kid's song, and how that limits a lot of meaningful conversation.
It is what's impossible to... They own the mode of communication. How do you criticize the internet on the internet? Yeah. And even that, I mean, it's impossible. And also what is called for on the internet is subtler, longer form conversations. Yeah. I mean, There's great stuff about the internet. I mean, the internet can really give visibility to people that don't have it. It can cause really great social movements. We're not going to out-tweet Trump. He is Twitter. He is the medium. We're not going to solve a national conversation by passing fortune cookies to each other. You know what I mean? So
Back to the special, the turning point into the dark is when Bo turns 30. It literally switches to midnight on his birthday on camera. This begins a few short segments of self-reflection on mortality, motivation, and accomplishment. This changes the special and Bo in it into this downward spiral. He feels terrible, doesn't want to ever finish the special because it's the only thing keeping him together. It's also where we get some of the best songs, as this nihilistic dread starts to focus these points he's made about technology and the internet throughout the special. Welcome to the Internet and That Funny Feeling are the real pinnacle of this, honing in on his real issues with the internet and its modern form. The homogenization of information and experience, the overload of information, all leading to a sort of numbness. That funny feeling is the dread or self-awareness that peeks through the cracks of this numbness.
It's everything. It's not just culture and politics. It's culture, politics, family, friends, and there's all existing on the exact same plane, exact same conversation, level of analysis, attention, and it is perfectly expressed by your Twitter feed, by your Instagram feed. You scroll through that thing, and in no particular order, you will see your mother, your friend from college, the President of the United States, McDonald's, and it's all existing not only in, one place, but also on this tiny little thing.
Moving on to Hands Up, he comes all the way out the other side of this nihilistic outlook and gives up on his original goal of healing the world with comedy. Now he just wants to distract you and himself from the world. It's just too scary to look at, to face. So he calls for all eyes on him. There's nothing else we can do but try to be entertained for humanity's last moments on Earth. With possible ending song, we get to see things less existential and more personal. It's both a letter to himself and to the audience. It addresses the idea that this special really wasn't that funny, by essentially asking the audience, well, you try making a joke at a time like this. But what's really interesting and might seem completely arbitrary and confusing on a first watch is the ending. He's called out of his room and finally steps outside. Happy ending, right? Well, no, because it turns out then that it was all staged and now he can't get back inside, and an audience is laughing at him. The special really ends with Bo Burnham watching the end and then smiling. Okay, what the fuck?
What the fuck is going on?
I spent a long time when working on this video trying to figure out what the coherent message or theme or point of the special was. But through my efforts, I came to an entirely different conclusion. None of the specific themes or messages matter. Seriously. See, I was trying to figure out what the nihilistic outlook, the recognition that the internet had control over us, all of those points, I was trying to figure out what they all meant together. What I realized is that none of it is about a specific point. It's about a journey. In my view, the special is about Bo Burnham's journey through quarantine. Or at least a Bo Burnham character. See, it was masterfully constructed because obviously he didn't spend his entire year in that one room. He has a girlfriend and a dog and a house that isn't just one room. Just another great example of how good an actor and writer Bo Burnham is. This last year, as every single person on the planet has pointed out, was hard for everyone. A lack of connection, constantly staying inside, and the only way we could see the outside world for a lot of people was through the internet. The character of Bo Burnham, this person who lives in one tiny house all alone for a whole year, is meant to reflect an interpersonal journey, whether that is Bo Burnham himself or supposed to reflect a more general audience interpersonal journey. Either way, as you look at the individual parts of the special and how they evolve, the journey becomes more clear. You start to see a change from him just poking fun at FaceTime or making fun of brands worrying about their appearance, and then it moves to some really dark, self-reflective stuff about the world ending, about mortality, his connection with the internet, and how we as an audience interact with it. This leads this character of Bo Burnham into a sort of depressive spiral, a nihilistic way of looking at the world, and he comes out the other end not really caring, just wanting to be numb to the depression and anxiety, and be entertained, and be entertaining. And as he comes towards the end of working on his special, that distraction fades, and he starts to be worried about what the world will be like when he's finally done working on it. Then there's the pressure from his audience to give the special a happy ending. So he finally goes outside. But that wouldn't be an honest ending, would it? See, while things are looking better, the depression and anxiety from the past year still linger, and while the pandemic looks better, it's definitely not over yet. So the only honest ending to a comedy special in a time like this is just that Bo finishes it, and hopefully by the end, it's something that he's proud of. This doesn't mean that all of the points that Bo Burnham made in this special don't still stand on their own. They do. Bo Burnham has made it clear his opinions before and in this special about disingenuous entertainment brands, about the effects of internet on our culture. It's not something he's just making up for this special. That is what is great about this special. I mean, there is a fear and a sense of dread about this generation, what seems like facing down irreversible and imminent danger at pretty much every turn. But inside, in a larger sense, is more about this person in this specific time, and it lets you connect on a more human level with all of those fears and insecurities. 10 years from now, this will be an astonishing marker as to what the pandemic was like. If there's anything to take away from this special, it should be 3 things. First, you're not alone. Over the past year, everybody, to some degree, has been feeling the same longing for connection, the same disconnection from humanity, and experiencing the world entirely through the internet. And I think everybody is ready to get back to normal as soon as we can, if that is ever possible. 2, get up and go outside. Now, I'm not trying to be an old finger-wagging guy being like, get off your phones. I mean, phones and technology are so embedded in society at this point that it's completely impractical to ask people to just get a Nokia phone and act like that is somehow going to work for you. But seriously, just taking a little bit of time every day to not look at any screens and just be in the world, be bored, have a meal without needing to check Twitter is extremely helpful. On a personal note, I found that when I got into my teens and I was able to use the internet and screens sort of without any limits, that's when I can sort of see a stark difference in the way that I experienced the world. I felt like everything was just more numb. And so trying to take a break really helps bring back just your cognition, your ability to just be in the world. The third and final thing is this. The overwhelming feeling of watching Inside is not of happiness. It's of dread, nihilism, fear, sadness, melancholy. But I think there's a way to look at this positively. Let this be a point, a starting point for your own journey. Whether that's a journey to getting mental health help, to becoming a mountain man that just lives out in the woods because the world is too horrifying, or becoming a political activist, whatever it is, I think using this sort of fear and sadness, these strong emotions can sometimes be really useful for us to get a kick in our pants to just go and do something. We need these strong emotions to make a change in our own lives or to help other people.
Satisfied? Did I talk about the best points of Inside? Could I have done better? Was it perfect to letter? Leave a comment, I'll be sure to ignore it. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Did I earn another like or a subscribe? Is that what it's about? Or anything that don't? If I try hard enough on a bit, you adore it. If you're
Thank you all for watching. I know this was very different, so for anybody who stuck with me, thank you. Yeah, I guess let me know what you thought in the comments. Suggest what I should cover next on my Twitter. And you should also follow me there because that's when I announce when I'll be streaming at twitch.tv/SaganHawks. See you all next time.